in D.C. After weeks of accusations and negotiations, news broke yesterday that Democrats, Republicans, and the president had more or less agreed on a plan. It would end the partial U.S. government shutdown that started on October 1st, and it would avoid the country hitting the debt ceiling, which experts said would happen today. The deal came from the U.S. Senate, where Democrats hold a majority, though it was a bipartisan agreement there. The Senate was expected to vote on the deal last night. That would be followed by a vote in the Republican-led House of Representatives. Yesterday, House Speaker John Boehner urged his fellow Republicans to support the plan. If it passes both houses of Congress, the president still has to sign it. And one thing to keep in mind, this is an interim deal. It's temporary. It would fund the government through mid-January, raise the debt ceiling until early February. So this is not a long-term solution. Teachers, as always, you can get the latest details at CNN.com. Our next story today is about a tragedy that allegedly started with bullying, both in person and online. It led to a 12-year-old in Florida committing suicide, and later, the arrest of 2 other girls. Police say Rebecca Sedgwick was bullied for a year. It apparently started when a 14-year-old girl began dating a boy that Rebecca had dated beforehand. The bullying got worse over time. Police found social media messages to Rebecca that said things like, "You should die, and why don't you go kill yourself?" Rebecca's mom transferred her to another school, but that didn't stop it.
I remember telling her, you know, Becca, don't listen to them. You're beautiful. They're just jealous of you. And she would say, well, you're my mom. You have to say that.
Eventually, the middle school student killed herself. But police say the bullying didn't stop afterward. They say the 14-year-old who'd been doing some of it posted on Facebook, essentially saying, yes, I bullied Rebecca and she killed herself, but I don't care. They arrested the 14-year-old and another girl, a 12-year-old, charging them with felony aggravated stalking. The lawyer for the older girl says she didn't have access to Facebook at the time the message was posted.
She denies them. She says that this is not as clear-cut as it seems, that these things that were posted on Facebook recently were not by her.
But Rebecca's mother says that the arrest means justice is being served.
Something's finally being done about these girls that are bullying her. That's all she ever wanted, was somebody to listen and do something about it.
Police have been arresting minors more often because of cases like this. The goal is to cut down on cyberbullying.
I can tell you we're all devastated by this, and I can tell you all of us that worked that case and worked around that case, we've lost sleep over that child dying needlessly.
Is this legit? Thanksgiving is always celebrated on the last Thursday in November. Not true. Thanksgiving is on the 4th Thursday in November, which is usually the last one, but not always.
When that 4th November Thursday rolls around, you can also count on the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Millions of folks show up in New York or watch on TV to see the parade and its giant balloons. Macy's has hosted the Thanksgiving event for nearly 90 years. What the retail giant hasn't done is open its doors on Thanksgiving. Holiday shoppers have had to wait until midnight to get in. But for the first time in the company's 155-year history, that's changing. Macy's said this Thanksgiving its stores will open at 8 p.m. It's not the first company to let customers start their Black Friday shopping on Thanksgiving. Stores have shifted their holiday hours to offer a jump, offer deals, bring in businesses. But some of those stores have gotten a backlash, especially from employees who say they'd rather spend Thanksgiving with their families than at work. Today's roll call is a peach and a badger and a Cornhusker. At least those are the states we're heading to. First on the map, Locust Grove, Georgia, and a big hello to the Wildcats from Locust Grove High. We're bringing up and not shutting down the Gilmore Griffins in Racine, Wisconsin. And our Cornhusker contributor comes from Sidney, Nebraska. The Sidney High School Red Raiders put their city on the roll call map. There's a picture getting shared on social media. It was taken of U.S. Corporal Josh Hargis in a hospital room in Afghanistan. 2 things we want you to notice here. First, the purple ribbon on Corporal Hargis's chest. That's a Purple Heart awarded for wounds he received in action. The other thing to notice, his hand. It's saluting. Everyone in the room during Corporal Hargis's medal ceremony thought he was unconscious. A commander said Hargis's determination to give that salute spoke volumes about Josh's courage and character. He described it as, quote, the single greatest event I have witnessed in my 10 years in the Army. Corporal Hargis is now recovering at a medical center in Texas. Next up, sea serpents. They show up in legends, but some scientists say those legends might have been inspired by oarfish. What is an oarfish? Don't know much about them except that they're big. You've got a minnow, a bass, a tuna. For an oarfish, my arms just don't go far enough. Some of them are up to 56 feet long, and a diver just hauled one up off the California coast.
This one's 18 feet long. It took 25 of us to pick it up. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
Rare and mysterious, that's not overselling it, as oarfish are largely uncharted territory for scientists. Jasmine Santana of the Catalina Island Marine Institute made the discovery of the recently deceased oarfish on Sunday at a depth of about 15 feet on the island's Toyon Bay. One of her counterparts from the Avalon-based Tole Moore was there and spoke with us via Skype from Catalina.
She was snorkeling, sees this giant fish on the bottom of the ocean, swims down, grabs it by the tail, and swims it to the beach. It was awesome. There were people sprinting to go and see this fish.
Louisiana State University's Dr. Mark Benfield, a marine biologist, shared this rare video with KTLA. It was shot in the Gulf of Mexico a couple years back. It is one of a kind, as the giant oarfish spends most of its time slithering through the ocean's deepest depths beneath tropical waters and is rarely seen at the surface. Back in 1996, a group of Navy SEALs found a 23-footer off Coronado. Meanwhile, experts at UC Santa Barbara have already expressed interest over this Catalina find, and so tissue samples are on their way.
Right now it's on ice to preserve it as best we can. I'm pushing to bury it and wait for it to be naturally cleaned so that we can then take the skeleton and articulate it and have it on display. That's what I'm hoping will happen.
Last month, we talked about a teenage manager's act of kindness at a fast food restaurant in Minnesota. The same place is back in the news for a different but equally awesome good deed. This one started with the family of a longtime customer.
The Dragotis family has long known the secret ingredient to a fulfilling life.
Hi, we're here to pay it forward for Papu. Do you recognize our dad?
I do. I definitely do.
Kindness.
Papu, that's Greek for grandpa.
It's what Dr. David Dragotis practiced every day.
We've heard stories about people crying in the waiting room because he's not here anymore.
Dr. D was a longtime family doctor in Chaska. 6 months ago, esophageal cancer put him in the same hospital he often practiced in. Even there, he wrote prescriptions for his patients up until his death.
Because he always brought us to get ice cream if something was bad.
So his daughters decided their grief could be eased by a gesture after his own heart.
So what we'd like to do is pay $100 and pay it forward for Papu.
And with that,
and it's actually all paid for already. If you read the sign right here.
Dr. D continues to heal.
It was beautiful. That was awesome. That's all I can say. And their dad will be proud of them. And I think of my dad, and that's great.
Every Wednesday, Dr. D would drive nearly 30 miles to come to this Dairy Queen, even though he passed several others along the way. And of course, every week, the doctor would order the same sweet treat.
The pecan mudslide.
And now others can enjoy
That's awesome.
what he prescribed for the soul.
It's cool to see people actually pay it forward.
In less than an hour, inspired customers added hundreds more dollars to Papu's fund.
They're sharing it with everybody and his favorite place. That's cute.
And thanks to Dr. D, kindness is still at service.
What would Papu think of us doing this?
You would be honored.
In the sweetest of ways.
All right, you might know about 3D printers, machines that take a computer model and then use materials to kind of print a three-dimensional version of something. In this case, the printed product is pizza. Dough, sauce, cheese, 12 minutes in the oven. May not look like the best slice you've ever seen, but the company that makes it says it is edible, although no one's allowed to actually taste test it until the food printer gets FDA approval. So we'll have to wait and see whether it's declared delicious or whether this pizza is panned. In the meantime, the company will keep printing pizzas, just be crust it can. For CNN Student News, I'm Carl Azuz. Have a great day.